Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. My name is Zoey if you're new here, and today's video is going to be so exciting because I'm going to be sharing with you guys my birth story. If you don't know, I just had a baby. He was born on November 4th, so he is brand new to the world. I did have a C-section, so I'm going to share that story with you guys, let you guys know everything, all the details about a planned C-section. Also, I am going to be introducing him to you guys in this video, so if you are ready to meet him, stay tuned because he is the most adorable thing in the world. But you know, I could be a little bit biased, so. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Join our family, help us grow. Also, you can give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let me know what kind of videos you guys want to see in the future down in the comments below. Also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, or Twitter, all that information will be down in the description box, so make sure you check the description, especially if you want to follow me and him. Definitely go check out my Instagram because I am always posting on my story on Instagram pictures and videos and everything about him on there. Like, it is baby central. Make sure you turn on your post notifications because I will be a little bit absent from YouTube. So if you want to know when a new video is coming out, make sure you turn on your post notifications. It's that little bell icon next to the subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any new videos. I'm going to stop rambling on and we're going to jump into this video. So if you want to hear my birth story and how everything went, and also if you want to meet baby Adriano, then just keep watching. So at my last doctor's appointment at 39 weeks, I told my doctor that if I wasn't progressing, that I wanted to go ahead and schedule a C-section, only because at my 38-week checkup I had an ultrasound done, and the ultrasound technician did tell me that he was going to be bigger than my daughter. He was 2 ounces away from weighing 8 pounds, and his head was measuring 13.5 inches. So he was going to be bigger than my daughter, and I was already concerned about that because when I had my daughter, they told me I had an emergency C-section with her, and they told me that even if I would have tried to push her out, I would have ended up having to get in an emergency C-section because she wasn't going to come out on her own. So with knowing that my body wasn't progressing and that he was already bigger than my daughter, I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I was going to end up having an emergency C-section, because emergency cesareans are a lot more traumatizing. They're a lot harder on your body, and a lot more can go wrong in them. So it's always better to have a planned one if you are going to need one. So I went ahead and scheduled a C-section, and I went to the doctor on Thursday and scheduled it for the following Monday. So I literally just had to wait the weekend, and then we were going to go into surgery on Monday morning. I couldn't wear makeup, couldn't wear body jewelry, I couldn't eat the night before after 12 p.m. And then my scheduled surgery was at 1:30 on Monday. So me and my husband, on Sunday night, we had our daughter spend the night with her grandparents. So that way on Monday morning we weren't stressed out about having to get her ready and do everything like that and wake her up and just have the, chaos of having to deal with her and get ourselves to the hospital. So she spent the night out on Sunday, and then Monday we got up and we showered and husband ate breakfast a little bit, and we went ahead and headed to the doctor. I was supposed to be there at 11:30. I ended up getting there at like 10:45, and luckily they were able to admit me right then and there, instead of having to wait until 11:30. So I was admitted. I filled out the paperwork, and then they moved us to a triage room, which is like actually they moved us to my recovery room. So they moved me to my recovery room. I got ready. They prepped me for surgery. They, did my IV, did all my vitals. It wasn't a stressful situation at all. It wasn't a scary situation. I was lucky enough to have my IV right here in my wrist. They did try to look for a vein in my arm, but they couldn't find one. But I really wanted to avoid the hand, and they told me that my hand was going to be like the last resort. So luckily I was able to get it in my wrist. When you have surgery, or when you have a C-section, you will wear your IV the entire time you're at the hospital. Kind of sucks, but it only bothers you really, at least it only bothered me for maybe like 15 minutes, and then the pain of it and just the aggravation of it went away. So it wasn't that big of a deal. So I got prepped, and I was in the OR at 12:30. I think. When you have a C-section, you do only get to bring one person back with you. So the only person that was there with me was my husband. He was also the only person at the hospital with me, period, for the first several hours of me being there. So it was just us. It was actually really nice because I wasn't stressed out about other people having to wait or anything like that. I wouldn't have minded if my mom was there, but she was on her way, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Also, this is my second child, so again, it wasn't that big of a deal to me. I really liked the fact that I just had my husband there and we got to share that intimacy of having to do something by ourselves that was so incredibly significant to our lives. So it didn't bother me that I didn't have anybody else there. But when you have a C-section, you can only bring one person back to the OR with you. So obviously my husband came back there with me. But when you go to the OR, they wheel you off and you have to go by yourself. So they wheeled me off and I went to the OR initially by myself. And when I got in there, the OR is freezing cold. Obviously to keep everything sterile and clean and whatnot, but it is freezing in the OR, like freezing. But what they do is they get you ready for surgery. Obviously they have to prep you. My nurses were really awesome and they put heated blankets all over me so it wasn't cold while I sat there and waited for them to get everything prepped and ready. So I was covered in these like super warm blankets. But what I really liked about my experience was that in an emergency C-section, doctors and nurses just come in and out, and like you don't know who's in there. You don't have any relationship with any of the people that are in there. You don't know what's really going on. This time around, having a planned C-section, every person who walked into that OR introduced themselves to me, stopped and literally told me what they were there for and who they were, and told me congratulations and all of that jazz. So it was really, really nice that all the doctors and all the nurses just gave you that bit of a personal touch to it, because it is a scary situation. You are going into major surgery and you're going to be awake for it. So it is kind of a scary situation and you're in there by yourself initially. So it's not like the most comfortable scenario. So every doctor who walked in there, every nurse who walked in there, the 2 anesthesiologists that I had, everybody came up to me, introduced themselves to me, and told me their title and told me what they were there for. So that was really, really nice. Everybody was really nice. Everybody held conversation with me throughout the surgery, and it was just a really great experience. When you have a C-section that's planned, you get something called a spinal tap instead of an epidural. And what that is it is a shot in your spine that numbs your body from the chest down. So I got that from my anesthesiologist, and let me tell you guys, it was amazing. So with an epidural, I think they have 4 different entry areas where you get shots in your spine in a couple of areas. With a spinal tap, it's just a one-shot thing, and it kicks in like this. So they gave me my spinal. What you have to do is you have to curl your back or whatever. Same thing as an epidural. So they gave me the shot in my spine, and immediately I immediately felt it. The shot itself didn't hurt. It was a little bit uncomfortable. It was more like pressure being pushed up against your spine, I guess. It was like somebody took a pen and just pushed on my back. It didn't hurt, but it was kind of just uncomfortable. It was a weird feeling, but once it was in, it wasn't bad. The side effects of it aren't bad either. They're a lot safer than an epidural, so that's a really good thing. But I felt it immediately. It goes straight to your butt. As weird as that sounds, I'm sitting on a table, so it goes straight to your butt and your whole entire body gets warm. It felt really, really good. It was a really good feeling. But literally within seconds I had it in, they had to lay me down on the table because I couldn't move. So it took about like 10 minutes for it to kick in completely, for it to get chest up here like numb, but it numbed my legs pretty fast. So yeah, my anesthesiologist, the other anesthesiologist, not the one who gave me the spinal tap, but the other anesthesiologist, he kept doing tests and poking me with a pen on my ribs and my sides to see where how far up the spinal was going. So they did give me the full spinal. I think they can give you different doses of it, but they gave me the full spinal. And it worked great. Worked like magic. It worked so good that my C-section didn't even feel as bad as my first one. So after that, my husband was able to come inside the room. I think that you have to go back there by yourself in order to get the spinal by yourself, because they don't want anybody else back there with you. It's the same way with an epidural. They don't want anybody with you because it can scare other people, and you have to be as still as you possibly can be when you're getting a shot in your spine. So finally he was able to come in, and he came in, and surgery got started right away when he walked in, and it took about 20 minutes for them to get the baby out. So he comes in, and my doctor's like, hey, my doctor's put up the sheet or whatever, so I can't see. There's a sheet in front of you, so you can't see what's going on. Obviously that would freak a lot of people out and scare a lot of people, so they do cover everything to keep you safe. But my husband was able to watch the entire surgery. So they were like, if you want to stand up and you want to watch, you want to look over the curtain, you totally can. It's completely fine. Some doctors and some hospitals won't allow that to happen. They won't allow the husband to see anything because they don't want to risk the husband fainting or, whatever, freaking you out. Yeah. So he was able to watch the entire surgery, which he thought was pretty cool. Funny story. So I couldn't feel anything, obviously, but my husband said that when they initially cut through me, that I guess when they cut through my muscles or something, I don't know when or what, but when they cut through me, my blood like squirted like all over the doctors and nurses, and it was like psh. And my husband's like face, he was like and I started laughing, and my doctor was like, oh my gosh, like, you're just such a trooper, because I'm over here pushing on your stomach and tugging on your stomach and cutting you open, and you're over here laughing. I was like, my husband is making the funniest facial expressions watching this, and so she had a good laugh about it. But they did hold conversations with me the whole entire time. I didn't feel a thing. I didn't even feel the pressure of them moving me around, which is great, because when I had my daughter, it was weird. It was a weird feeling. I could feel them inside of my body, tugging things around and moving things around and trying to get the baby out. With this one, I couldn't feel anything. Could not feel anything. So they cut through me or whatever, and when they see the baby's head, they're like, we see the baby's head. Oh my gosh, he's got a lot of hair. That's crazy. He's got so much hair. And then when they were able to pull the baby out, they were like, oh my gosh, this is such a big baby. And I was like, oh my gosh, really? Like, how big? Like, what do you mean he's big? And the doctor was like, I bet he's 10 pounds. I bet he's 10 pounds. And the nurses were like, yeah, I bet he's 10 pounds. Like, he's so big. And so they brought him over to see me before they cleaned him off really quickly. And I cried and cried, especially when I heard him cry. I just started bawling. My anesthesiologist was wiping my tears away, but I just started bawling. Like, I was so incredibly happy. You guys had, like, you don't understand, unless you've had a miscarriage before, how, like, thankful you are that you were able to carry a baby full term and have a healthy baby and have nothing go wrong. Because when you miscarry, you literally have that fear in the back of your mind the entire pregnancy, is that something is going to go wrong, something's going to happen, you're going to lose your baby, and it's terrible. So when I heard him cry for the first time, I just started bawling, like just crying my eyes out. And I was so incredibly happy that he was okay and he was safe and he was healthy. So my anesthesiologist was wiping my tears away. He's like, congratulations, he's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. So they cleaned him off. They asked Dad to go back there and cut his umbilical cord. So my husband went back there and cut his umbilical cord. And then while they were stitching me up and closing me up, my husband got to hold him the entire time. Some hospitals have different policies. My hospital's policy was that the baby was going to stay with me no matter what. Some hospitals take their newborns that are born via cesarean to the nursery to clean them and weigh them and do all of that stuff. No, he stayed with me, or he stayed with my husband. He did not leave our sides. So my husband stood there for about 20 minutes carrying him, and me looking at him, and just us bonding with him really quickly, and then they told him to go to the recovery room while they finished closing me up, because it does take longer to close up than it does to actually get the baby out. So my husband went to the recovery room with the baby, and got some alone time with him, got to bond with him. And so he was really actually very, very, very content with my husband. I was very surprised. Obviously he knows his voice and stuff, but I didn't expect him to be that chill and that content with somebody who wasn't me immediately. So that was really nice that he was so calm with my husband. So they finished closing me up. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour to close. It just depends on your doctors. So it took them about 45 minutes. I forgot to tell you guys, when you go into surgery, you do get a catheter. They didn't put my catheter in until after I had the spinal in, so I didn't feel it or anything. It wasn't a horrible experience, but they do take it out after you can have your feeling back. So they wheeled me back to my recovery room. We were in my recovery room for about 2 hours. That's when I got to nurse him for the first time, do skin to skin with him, and just really bond with him. My hospital had a policy where they have a magic hour where only you and your partner can be with the baby for the first hour after the baby's born, so that you two can bond with the baby. But you can't have visitors. You can if you absolutely want to, but the hospital suggests that you don't. That first hour of life for them is pretty important when it comes to bonding with mom and baby between them. So that's what we did. We stayed with him for the first 2 hours. Nobody came to see us. We didn't have any visitors or anything. And then when we got to our actual room, our actual recovery room, that's when we started having visitors. So my husband went to go get my daughter because she was with her grandparents. So he went to go get her and get them, and brought them to the hospital or whatever. And she got to meet her brother, and she was so excited. She was like, "Oh my gosh, the baby's out of your belly. That's my baby brother." And she was just really, really happy. She understood and knew that there was a baby and he was coming out of my stomach. The doctors were taking him out of my belly so that he could be out here with us. So she understood that concept, but she was very excited. And so the rest of the time there was just about recovering. Recovery for a C-section is not fun. It is a major surgery, so it's very painful, and it's not fun. It's not painful, and it depends on how much pain you're willing to take. I can't think of the word for it, what your scale of pain is, or I can't think of what it's actually called. Your pain tolerance. It depends on what your pain tolerance is, if your recovery is bad or not. My pain tolerance is not that great, but it's not horrible either. So once your spinal wears off, it takes about 8 hours. So my spinal didn't wear off until, I don't know. I wasn't supposed to get my catheter out until my spinal wore off, and I didn't get my catheter out until 1 in the morning, or I wasn't supposed to get it out until 1 in the morning, but I got it out at 11. When you first initially back there, you can't move for 8 hours. Literally, you cannot move. You can't move your feet. You can't move your toes. It doesn't matter how hard you're telling your body to move, you cannot move. So I was confined to the bed for a while. Also, you can't eat because they want to make sure that you're not going to be throwing up. So the only thing I could eat was ice chips, and then I couldn't eat food until, I don't know, 8 or 9 o'clock at night. My nurse was nice enough to give me club crackers that I could eat after I had him, because I was doing good on ice and water, so I was able to have those. But I didn't eat for almost 24 hours, and I was hungry. Once that wore off, it was great. I was able to get my catheter removed, which is not fun at all. But my nurses that I had were absolutely amazing. She removed it so quick that I barely felt it, so that was nice. So once she removed that, I was able to get up and walk around, but only with her help. So she helped me go to the bathroom and helped me like just get out of bed and walk around, just to make sure that you know your feeling is all there and okay. But something that happened to me that might happen to you is that I could not use the restroom for like 2 days. Not like go number 2. I mean, like, I could not pee on my own for like 2 days. So I was supposed to pee, and I needed to pee by the following day by myself without the catheter by like 6 in the morning or 8 in the morning or something like that. And I couldn't. I went like 4 times, and I had the urge to go, but I like, it would not leave my body, like, at all. And it felt like it was just like right there, and like I couldn't go. So unfortunately for me, they had to put the catheter back in, which wasn't fun. So they had to put it back in, empty my bladder out, and then take it out immediately so that my muscles can still try to go to the bathroom. So after that, I was like, you know what? I have an idea. I still didn't go pee for like another 6 hours, but I had an idea. I was like, I'm gonna go try to take a shower, because every time I get in the shower I have to pee. So I'm gonna try to shower and see if that makes my body go pee. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. I turned on the water, and the minute the water hit my feet, I was able to pee. And my shower and my toilet were like in the same area, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, the minute the hot water hit my feet, I was able to pee. But I had to turn on the hot water and do that every time I peed for like the next 3 times that I peed before I was able to pee on my own. I think that I was psyching myself out with the catheter and the pain of peeing after surgery, because it is not comfortable to pee after surgery. So I think that's what happened. But once I was able to get myself going, I was okay. So they told me, they're like, you can't be released unless you go to the bathroom by yourself. And I was like, yay. I was supposed to stay there until Thursday afternoon, but I thought I was only supposed to be there till Wednesday. I thought I was supposed to be there 2 nights and 3 days, but apparently it was supposed to be 3 nights and 4 days. So I asked them if I could go home on Wednesday, and they were like, as long as everything checks out and as long as your doctor approves, then you can go home on Wednesday. So I ended up going home on Wednesday. Luckily, I was very happy. I didn't want to be at the hospital any longer. However, the pain medication they give you in the hospital, they do monitor, and they monitor you, obviously, because unless you ask them for no narcotics, they're going to give you narcotics. So, actually, I had to request my narcotics, because at first they were only giving me ibuprofen, and I was okay with it, but it was because I still had the other pain medication in my system. But once that wore off, I needed something much, much, much stronger, because I was just in way too much pain to handle. And I wasn't like crying or anything, but I was extremely uncomfortable, and it was really painful to move. So it was really hard for me to get the baby out of his bassinet. It was hard for me to get him in and out of his bassinet. So I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and just order the narcotics, because this is not ideal. It's not fun. So that's the only regret that I had, is that I was on a schedule to take medications that were at a higher dosage than what I was able to take at home. So yeah, that kind of sucked. But at the hospital, as much help as I had with the nurses and stuff, they were in and out of our room a lot, because they have to check on the baby, they have to check on me, and they have to check on my vitals, they have to check his vitals. He had a lot of tests done, blah blah blah. So they were in and out of my room a lot, so my sleep was super minimal while I was there, and I just was really uncomfortable, like, with the bed and stuff. So I was just ready to go home and be in my own house. And my mom and my stepdad were here, so I knew I was gonna have a lot more help at home and a lot less disturbance. So yeah, I was just ready to go home. But yeah, when you're in the hospital, they do several different tests on him. He had to do blood sugar tests because he was so big. So I haven't even told you guys his like stats when he was born. Okay, so when he was born, he weighed 10 pounds, 4 ounces, and he was 21 inches and 3/4 inches long, and his head was 14.5 inches around. Like, his circumference of his head was 14.5 inches, and his chest was 14 inches. So he was a big baby. He was over the 99th percentile for all of his everything. So he's very tall, or he's very long, and he's very heavy. So he had to do blood sugar tests. He had to have a hearing test done. All babies have to have a hearing test done. And he failed his first one, which the doctor said that was completely normal. That when babies are born, they have fluid in their ears just from being in, your sac or whatever, and in your stomach. So they have fluid in their ears, and typically it hasn't drained out by the time that they do the test. So they have to redo it in the following day, the following morning. So he had it done, and he failed the first one, and then he had it done the following morning, and he passed. So that was great. They also did testing for jaundice and some other blood-related diseases. He passed the one that was for jaundice. He didn't have any other signs of any other blood diseases or anything like that. So he was okay. He was just a big baby. Just a big baby. So I'm extremely happy that I trusted my gut and asked for a C-section, even though I really wanted a VBAC. I'm very happy that I trusted my gut and just knew in my heart that he was just going to be too big to push, because he ended up being 10 pounds. Like, what? I don't know how, because at 38 weeks he was measuring 7 pounds 14 ounces. No, that measurement was completely wrong. Because he's 10 pounds. But yeah, that is my whole story. That is everything that happened. But everything has been going really well. I'm very happy. I've cried a couple of times, because I've literally just looked at him and have thought oh my gosh, I'm so incredibly blessed. I've been giving my daughter just as much cuddles as I've been giving him. Make sure she doesn't feel like she's being neglected or anything. I've been trying to pay as much attention to her as I possibly can, and having her help do things with him as well, just watching his diaper changes or helping me with his laundry or anything like that, just to make her feel like she's involved, because I don't want her to feel like he's getting all of my attention. He does sleep a lot right now, so as long as he's sleeping, I do try to do things with her as well. And that's it, really. They told me that my recovery time is 6 weeks, which is awesome, because with an emergency C-section, it is 6 months. So hopefully in 6 weeks, I will be good as new and back to doing anything and everything that I was able to do beforehand. I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to this little guy, because he is so stinking adorable. So oh my gosh, guys, I'm so obsessed with him. So I'm going to go ahead and grab him really quickly and introduce you guys to my little bubs. Now, this little guy right here, this is my baby. You see all this hair? Oh my goodness. So this is my little guy right here. Let's see. Hi. Hi, Papa. Little is an understatement. He is not little whatsoever. But yeah, this is Adriano. I call him everything but his name. I rarely call him Adriano or Adriano. I call him Bubba and Bubby. I call him Bubby the most, but I call him Bubba and Bubby and Papa and Poppy and Papas and just all kinds of things. Baby brother, baby Adrian. But yeah, he's very big. Let me see if I can hold him up for you guys. Very big. 21 inches long. Almost 22 inches long. He's very long. I don't know how I made such a big baby, honestly, because I'm very tiny. I'm only 5'1". And my husband is normal average height. He's like 5'10". So how we made this big of a baby is beyond me. Things that we've already noticed about him is that he has my husband's chin. My husband has a dimple in his chin, or a butt chin. He has one too. He also has my husband's lips. He has my eyebrows. His eyebrows are really long and light. They're not thick like my daughter's. Obviously, he's got the chunkiest cheeks in the world. He's literally perfect, guys. And I'm so incredibly blessed and happy that he's mine. And yeah, so Adriano, meet the family. Family, meet Adriano. That is it, guys. That is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching me. Thank you guys so much for supporting me on my pregnancy journey. Can you believe that he's finally here? He's here now. Like, I feel like I just announced that I was pregnant like yesterday. And now he's here. But yeah, guys, that is it for this video. Make sure you check out my description box below if you want to see more of him, so you can follow me on Snapchat and Instagram and see more updates about him. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in my next video.